All right, guys, we're gonna go ahead and get started. We'll let people in as they come in. But thank you all for joining today to the Fall 2026 Solace's information session. Obviously, you guys know the theme this year, setting sail with Solace. So we're super excited to meet all of you guys through the application cycle. But this is just an opportunity for you guys to get some more information about Solace and directly ask any questions that you have that maybe you didn't get to ask in the takeover or didn't find on the website, etc. All right. So who are we? You guys probably already know a little bit about us, but Solace is a nonprofit student organization directly affiliated with UFL Shands and Al's Place. So those are the two primary locations that we volunteer at. And we're a pretty big, diverse group of volunteers, and all of us serve the geriatric community specifically by providing support and care throughout their hospital visits. And Al's Place is essentially a location where there's Alzheimer and dementia patients. So our goal is to continue to provide them support and care. And that's our website. If you guys haven't gotten a chance to check it out already, it has all the information posted regarding we have a photo gallery on there, we have the application cycle link posted there, and it's a lot of great information. And if you want to check out the recording of this information session after, that's also where it will be posted as well. So definitely take a photo, write down the link, check it out after, check it out now. But yeah, that's just a little intro about us. All right, and our mission. And I didn't introduce myself yet, but my name is Kunal. I'm the Solace president for the upcoming year. I'm super excited again. But yeah, so our mission, this is kind of the quote that we put everywhere. It's on our website. I believe it's on our application too, but we believe in the uplifting power of a smile. We are committed to bringing joy and laughter through companionship and strive to give ourselves to those who may be in a weak or lonely state, understanding that love and compassion have infinite healing capacity. So kind of as volunteers, we all go into each shift with this in mind, and this is kind of what, all Solace members live by. Next. All right. Meet the exec. So we're gonna I already introduced myself, but we're gonna let the rest of the executive board team who's on the call today introduce themselves. And yeah.
Hi, everyone. My name is Omar. I will be serving as the Chief of Internal Affairs for this upcoming year. Super excited to meet you all, and I hope this info session is useful to you guys.
All right, and one of our exec board members, the Chief of Finance, Aksayan, is not here today, but he is also super excited, and he's looking forward to meeting all of you guys. And next is me. I'm Kunal again, the president of Solace for the upcoming year. I'm super excited again, and I've been in Solace for I think this is like my third year, and it's been like one of my most memorable experiences. So I hope some of you guys also will feel that way.
Hey guys, my name is Sarah. I am going to be the Chief of Fundraising for this upcoming year, and I am super excited to get started and meet all of you guys. So it's going to be a great year.
Hey guys, I'm Sienna and I will be your vice president for this upcoming school year. And I'm really excited to meet all of you guys and work with all of you. And like Kunal said, Solace has meant so much to me and it's helped me grow so much. Yeah, I'm excited for you all.
Hi everyone, I'm Deshna. I'm your Chief of Membership for this upcoming year. So I'm super excited to meet all of you guys. Hopefully plan some fun activities after I read all of your applications and whatnot. So looking forward to it.
Hi everyone, I'm Kaomi and I'm your Chief of External Affairs. Thank you guys so much for taking the time out of your day to come to our info session. I'm planning a lot of really exciting outreach events for this year, so super excited for that.
And finally, my name is Irina. I'm y'all's Chief of Communications. I'm the one who's been spamming the Instagram. So sorry about that, but I'm super excited to get to know you guys. Yeah.
All right. And what most of you guys maybe have been waiting for are guest speakers here today for the Solus information session. We have three wonderful, amazing, wonderful again, three guest speakers, Solus alumni, current in not incoming, not all of them are incoming, but some incoming and current UF medical students. We have three of them here today, Dej Patel, Shan Abbas, and Nick Rainey. They're going to be talking for the next 10 to 20 minutes about their journey, about Solace. And I know a lot of you guys will want to ask them questions, so we will let you guys ask questions at the end. But we're going to go ahead and get started with Dej here. And yeah, take it away. Thank you guys again for taking the time to join here. And we hope a lot of you guys learn a lot from them too.
Hey everyone, it's nice to be here. My name is Tej Patel. I graduated UF in 2025, so I'm in my gap year right now, and I'll be starting at the University of Florida College of Medicine in like 3 weeks now. So kind of excited, kind of nervous too. I joined Solace my freshman year, which was a great experience. And then after my second year in the organization, I became the treasurer, and after that, I served as the president. And from 2024 to 2025, which makes me sound old, but this is definitely one of my most favorite organizations that I was a part of at the University of Florida. And there's a lot of different reasons. I ended up like applying just because I grew up with both sets of my grandparents, and I knew like I went to a lot of doctor's visits with them, and I knew that geriatrics was something that I was going to be interested. And I didn't actually realize how much I would fall in love with the patient population. And there's definitely a need for it because as we get older, the geriatric population is going to be the largest patient demographic in the country. So it's important that we spend time and focus on this. So it's really cool to see all of you interested in that. I'll keep it short, but I think probably my biggest takeaway from Solus as a whole, more so, I guess like the patient care aspect of it was that I didn't realize like, especially as a pre-med, like how much or how valuable it is to just like have that experience where it's just you and the patient. Because a lot of the times the patient's going through some like the hardest parts and times of their lives. And a lot of the people that we work with sometimes don't have family to visit them. So it's really important to be able to like understand and navigate that relationship that you have, and just learn how to like actually like talk to a person and talk to a patient as a person, as opposed to like if any of you have like clinical jobs, you have these responsibilities, and the doctors and nurses in the hospital are super busy. But it's important to be able to like I said, have that relationship. And sometimes if it's just sitting with them watching TV, then that's all that we can do for them, and that's equally as important as giving medical information to them. So it's a really cool organization. I hope you all get to experience something like it, and I think it can really prove valuable down the road for all of you.
Hey everybody, how's it going? My name is Shayan. I'm a rising second year medical student at the University of Florida College of Medicine. I was a part of Solace from 2023 to 2025, and I was chief of membership 2024 to 25 when Tej was our president, and Nick was chief of hospital affairs. I really loved Solus because I think that the geriatric population Tej already touched on, um, how they're very valuable to interact with. Especially at my time at Al's Place, which I think out of all the opportunities, in my unbiased opinion, was the best place to volunteer at throughout the Shan system. And honestly, the one thing that I can pitch to you about Solace as someone who's in medical school and has gone through a year of like interacting with patients in an official capacity, the best reason to gravitate towards Solus as compared to some of the other orgs is because Solus is, I believe, the only one still that focuses directly on geriatric populations. And that is by far the biggest patient population that you interact with when you're in the actual hospital setting or interacting with patients. And the fact that I was able to do that for 2 years in Solus was really invaluable to knowing like how to best interact with geriatric patients. And so that's why I think Solus is the best organization and why you guys should totally apply.
Hi everyone, my name is Nick. I'm also an incoming first year med student with Tage, and I graduated last year with him as well. I actually was a bit of a late bloomer when it comes to most med stuff, so I joined Solus during my junior year, during the spring of my junior year. But even though I was only in the org for a year and a half, I can't even, begin to explain all the benefits I got from being in the org. As Cheyenne mentioned, I was the chief of hospital affairs for my senior year, where I was leading trainings and interacting with the volunteer services office. And it was just such a beautiful experience. As both of them have described, you gain so much from interacting with the geriatric populations. But like another thing that you gain from being in Solus is the confidence of being able to walk into a patient room that you can't really get from many other experiences. You know, you have to really put yourself out there when you're a member of Solus. You got to go knock on the door, ask someone if you want to sit down with them. You're going to have some conversations that are, challenging, but they push you to be better at interacting with people. You come up with ways to build rapport quickly. And, you know, you learn so much about people and about the world. And these things can't be taught elsewhere. You have to experience them for yourself. You have to interact with people. You'll learn about different medical conditions that your patients that you're interacting with are suffering with. You learn about the treatments that they're going through, the doctors that they're seeing. It lets you be like almost a part of the system, and it teaches you so much about the flow of healthcare in general. And it's just such a great thing to do. I was asked about it so many times in med school interviews. It came up constantly, and it really does set you apart from other people because there's so many different patient populations that people like to work with, but not many people work with the geriatric population, even though, as both of Cheyenne and Tage have mentioned, it's such a huge part of the healthcare system. So having experience with that population really sets you apart from other med school applicants, and it worked out well for all of us, and I'm sure it will work out for you guys as well. It's a great organization. But yeah, we're happy to answer any questions you guys may have about our journeys, the med school process, how Solus helped us. Yeah, ask any questions you might have.
And you guys can feel free to just unmute your mic, or I think there's like a raise hand feature if you press like react. Um, but yeah, feel free to ask any questions. There's still a lot of time left about Solus, about anything you want to ask them.
Hi. I was just wondering, I guess each of you guys can answer this. What is like an experience that from like Solace that you really that really stuck out to you?
Oh, okay, I can go first. So I think it's really easy to see people as they get older as kind of invincible when it comes to questions about their health. Like you get to a point where you think, oh, this person's older, so they, won't feel as nervous or won't worry about their care as much as someone our age, or I don't know. It's just an assumption that I've seen people have, and it really gets wiped away when you talk to people who are going through things. So like, I'll never forget, I was talking to this guy who he was scheduled for a double bypass heart surgery the next day, and he was so nervous for it because his brother had recently passed after a similar operation, and it really shows the vulnerabilities of people that you may not see on the surface. Like this was a an older guy, like a military vet. He didn't really let on much emotion, but when you talk to him and when you talk to these patients about what they're going through, it really starts to show what people are dealing with, and it allows you to be so much more empathetic towards those who might be colder or more closed off at the start because everyone's always dealing with something, and that experience really showed me that there's always so much more going on under the surface than what you might initially assume.
Thank
I
you.
Yeah, I
think,
can. Sorry, go ahead, Sean.
so, I think my favorite cumulative experience again was with Alice Place because that's really the one area where you get to like sort of almost build long-term patient relationships in a way because it's sort of like a daycare for people with like Alzheimer's and like degenerative neurological diseases. And so you see the same people and over again. And I think the most special thing, and anyone who's been to Alice Place will testify to this, is unfortunately because a lot of them have Alzheimer's and dementia and a lot of these neurodegenerative diseases, they're very prone to forgetting. But it's really special where even despite that, like if a patient like remembers you because they see you every week, I think that's a really special moment. And that is my most treasured memory from Solace.
And I'm gonna add on really quick. I think one of mine was I was talking to an elderly gentleman, and like when I was leaving the room, he stopped me and he was just like, "Thank you." And he like I talked about it like Nick said, you speak about these experiences, like these core memories you have a lot in like the medical school or whatever health profession you're going to in that application process. And like a core memory of mine is him to like just thanking me and telling me that it was the most real conversation he's had. Um, over the past year. And that meant a lot to me because I think like we take it really for granted, especially when you're talking to geriatric patients, just how isolating it can be, not only in the healthcare system, like in the hospital, but just even in their personal lives as well. Like we don't really know what to expect when we're entering and you're knocking on that patient room. And for some of these people, like they haven't had real and genuine conversations with individuals in a long time. And so I think as a pre-med, it's kind of like deterring because it's like, oh, I don't really have this big role here. Like I'm just here to play games with them or to give them companionship, but that does go a long way. Not only from like a clinical sense in terms of like improving their mood, but also just like as a person and as someone who can connect with the people who don't really have others to connect with that time. So it was very good perspective, and I think you get that a lot with Souls, especially with this patient population.
Thank you so much.
I think Priscilla is next.
Yeah, hi. I have two questions kind of. One, during your guys' shifts, like when you're going to volunteer, do you usually go in with like planned activities or do you kind of like go with the flow of what they want to do and like stuff like that?
That's a great question. And part of what makes Solace awesome is you can kind of make it your own. So some people will go in with like bags of like cards and games or crafts that they like to do with patients because it's a good icebreaker. Some people go in with nothing and they just want to go have a conversation. That's what I like to do a lot of the time. A lot of times you'll just go based on what the patient wants to do. So you might have the option of, let's make a craft or play a game, or we can just watch TV together. It's whatever they want, whatever makes their experience in the hospital a little bit more bearable. And that's kind of what's awesome about Solace, because not every org gives you that, flexibility of what you can do during your shift.
Thank you. And then just like one more thing, going along with that, what would you say was your favorite thing to do with the patients, if they like weren't in the mood to talk or just weren't really very talkative in general?
I'd say for me, when if like I could get the vibe that they weren't really interested in talking, they just more wanted someone there. I would just kind of join in like whatever activity they're doing. So if like they were like coloring or doing a puzzle or something like that that I provided them, I would kind of just be on the side doing their own thing. A lot of times we actually ended up watching like TV together or watching like a movie together, which obviously like that's not my primary intention. Of course, like I want to talk to them and give them that attention. But if you get like that sort of sense, then I think it's easy to sort of just like latch onto what they're doing. And if that leads to more conversation later, which a lot of the time it did, then that's something you'd probably want to focus in on.
Thank you.
I think I was next. Um, I've been like trying to make my question more concise, but I guess like there's two answers to it. I know you guys mentioned that like geriatrics is kind of not focused on, even though like we have an aging population. And I normally focus like most of my stuff with pediatrics. So I was wondering like one, as an applicant to Solace as well as med school, was most of your stuff focused in geriatrics, or did you guys have more of like a diverse spread?
I think well, volunteering wise geriatrics, but I think most of us had like a pretty like diverse spread of things in terms of like other stuff like research and whatnot, but volunteering definitely we were at least once we were with Solace because you can only be with one Shane's organization at a time. It was like and I think Nick can speak more to this because he did like hospice and stuff, I believe. Or he did no.
Yeah, what was the question? Sorry, my internet died for the first part of that.
I guess like where the specialties when you guys applied to Solace as well as medical school, did you guys focus mostly in pediatrics or was it more diverse? And then they mentioned that you specifically focused also did hospice work.
Yeah, so it's always great when you're making a med school application to have kind of a have most of your activities geared towards one theme. You don't have to have that, but for me specifically, I did a lot of stuff with geriatrics. I did Solace, of course, and then I did research in neurodegeneration, and then I think Cheyenne was alluding to. I did this thing called No One Dies Alone, where you sit with patients who are towards the end of life, maybe 72 or less hours remaining estimated, and you kind of keep them company and make sure they're not alone, as the title would suggest. And it's definitely a valuable thing to have that kind of cohesion in your application. It's definitely not necessary though, and a lot of people who are in Solus do a million different things and a million different specialties or themes within medicine and health, so it can vary.
Thank you.
Oscar, do you want to go next?
Oh, hello. So I got a question about the volunteer hours of the Solons. So I've seen the Solons under the degree seeking program under the volunteer service of UF Shands. So I would like to know, do the volunteer hours at the Solons would apply or show up at my Shands volunteer portal?
Are you asking if you'll be able to track the hours like on the portal?
Well, like for example, let's say I volunteer 30 hours at Solace for this semester. Would that 30 hours be added to my previous volunteer experiences
Yeah,
with
yeah.
Shans?
Yes,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So like I think something like 90 or 95% of my total Shan's hours were Solace. So in terms of like getting like a rec letter from Kia or whoever's in charge still, I don't know if she's still there. But that counts for your total Shan's hours, and that will be reflected in your total Shan's hours. Yeah, everything you do with Solus. As long as whatever you log in when you're checking into your Solus shifts, whether it's at Alice Place or in the hospital, I believe you have to check in on the computer. So whatever you log in will be counted as Shan's. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
We'll take like one or two more questions specifically for the guest speakers. I think, and then we'll move on to the rest of our presentation. And don't worry, we'll have time to ask questions at the end too. I think Ankit was next, and then we can do one more question for the guest speakers because they
Yeah. Oh,
got
sorry.
busy people.
I just had a quick question. Well, this is for like anyone. I was wondering like how did you guys like as like when you were in pre-med like handle like the I'd say like the stress of like being like pre-med or like applying or just like the a lot of like the pressures of being pre-med. Yeah.
I don't know, obviously take this with a grain of salt because this is just what I did, but um, for me, I think like one thing that really like kept me grounded was like just understanding that you want to participate in activity because I think as a pre-med you have like this notion that you have to kind of like dip your feet in everything and you want to like just do and cater everything towards getting into your professional school goal if that's probably the case for the most of you. But I think that when you're looking at it and like reflecting on this past year of just applying to medical school as a whole, I found the most success and like the it was easiest for me to reflect on the experiences that I genuinely enjoyed and that I had a good time doing, right? And so for me, like one of those things was Solace, like Nick was talking about earlier. I got it, and they asked about it in almost all of my medical school interviews, and I wrote about it in so many of my secondaries. And that's because these were things that I actually enjoyed doing, and this was a patient population I really enjoyed working with. And that can go down the line from your hobbies to your extracurricular involvement to even like some of the elective courses that you're taking. I think handling stress is like very difficult and it sounds easier than it is, but I think that if you have things that you like doing, they don't become a chore so much as something that is continuously improving you as a person and is making you happy. And so I think if you have stuff like that that keeps you grounded and keeps you motivated and on top of that can also help you professionally, then I think you're going to be in a golden spot. And so I think you just want to explore, you want to try different things out and eventually you'll find a few things that you like and you should stick with them and you should continue to grow and learn. And that way you'll be able to better reflect on those experiences and it turned out to be something you like and also something that's going to help you get and achieve your professional goal.
I think Tage's answer was absolutely awesome. I agree with every single piece of that. I want to add as well, as a pre-med, you're going to be doing a lot of different things. And it can be really easy for the stress from one activity to kind of bleed into other parts of your life. So you could be hanging out with friends and you're worried about, this test you have coming up or this research project you're doing. I think a really important part of staying grounded and being mentally happy is to be able to compartmentalize things. So when you're a part of one activity, when you're doing something, you give all of your attention to that, and that's when you can, stress about that thing. But when you move on to a different activity, you gotta be able to move away from the previous activity and focus all of your attention on that new thing. Because if you let the stress from one thing bleed into another, then it's all just going to compound and then you're going to be miserable. And I think a lot of us deal with that in our junior years or even earlier when we're, piling up a million different activities. So yeah, when I would try to be really intentional about, time allocation and letting one thing leave your mind when you're not actively focusing on it.
The one thing that I would like to add is the most important thing you can do if you're trying to build yourself up is instead of adding on a million different things because you think they would look good, please only do those. Be very intentional about what you pick because it's very easy to like take up too much stuff on your plate. Only do the things that genuinely interest you, that you think that you can commit to because when things get really tough and you have like many different things to take care of, you'll only really be able to do things justice that you actually care for, that you're passionate about. So please be very intentional and just pick a few things and get very good at them, and excel at them. And don't just pick a lot of different things because you think they would look good on your resume.
Thank you so much.
We'll do one last question for our wonderful guest speakers. I think we have Rachel raising her hand, and then we'll move on to a couple more things.
Hi. I was just wondering how has Solace helped you all grow like as a pre-med and as well as like as a person, personally, throughout the years that you've been at Solace and like have you think like do you think that has changed who you are today and would you have been like different if you weren't in Solace?
I can go first on that. Yeah. I think of two things like immediately. One is just confidence in general. Like I mentioned kind of in my answer originally, it takes a lot of courage to be able to go up to a patient that you've never met before and try to have a long conversation with them. Being able to build that connection quickly and then learn something about that person, have it be more than just a surface level conversation and be there for them through tough times. It's daunting and it's something that you have to practice, and there's really no better practice for it than being in Solace. So just having that confidence that I can, as a medical student and beyond, I can go into any patient room and talk to that person. I feel very comfortable with my ability to do that, and I definitely didn't feel like that before I joined Solace. The other thing is like talking to the geriatric population, you learn so much about the world. So like I remember, there was this patient I met from Kazakhstan, and I didn't know anything about that country really until I talked to this person. But then I learned about the history, what it was like growing up there. Um, and you learn so much about the world around you from hearing different perspectives. Um, you will encounter a lot of people who you disagree with often. There's a lot of people in Gainesville and honestly just in the world who have experiences that have led them to develop beliefs that are not aligned with your own. So being able to deal with that without going into confrontation is a very important skill, and it's something that you'll have to do as a medical student and beyond. So the worldly perspectives and the confidence from that are I absolutely attribute to Solus.
Yeah, and I can add on. I think one thing for me, definitely that I gained a lot, and it was like a small culmination of a lot of different things and seeing patients in Solace. But one of them was just being comfortable when someone is at one of the most vulnerable points of their lives. Because I feel like that's not really something, especially as like an 18, 19, 20, 21-year-old kid, right? That you have experiences in your day-to-day activities in your day-to-day life. Because you might see people crying or you might see people visibly upset or in physical discomfort. And sometimes that can be awkward. And I think that's just like a natural human reaction to not be sure what to say or what to do. You don't want to make things worse. And so I think that that's something that you slowly build up confidence, like Nick was alluding to, like over time. And that's, I think, going to be proved. Obviously, I haven't had really any patient care experience in medical school yet because I haven't started, but I feel like that's something that's definitely going to help me. And it's just like being comfortable, being sort of uncomfortable in a patient encounter and a patient relationship sometimes. And I think that it's not really something you can just learn in the textbook. It's something you have to practice. And I think that those are like soft skills that I think will really come to fruition when I'm actually seeing patients on my own. And I might encounter these things on my own. And so these are just habits and tendencies that I'll fall back on that I developed and learned and grew through Solace. So hopefully that'll help us out a little bit.
Yeah, there's this one quote that LeBron said is his favorite, which is you have to put yourself in situations where you're not comfortable. And that's basically the essence of volunteering with Solace. Like when you go in, honestly, I can say for myself, most of the times that I think a majority of the times the answer was no. If you ask someone like, do they want someone to talk to? The answer is going to be no. So first of all, it teaches you how to handle like rejection. And then obviously like once you're past that barrier of rejection, let's say you go in and talk to a patient. They teach you how to deal with uncomfortable situations. Like a lot of the times, the people you talk to have like months or weeks to live, and they know that, and they'll tell you that. And they're going through a lot of psychological stress because of that. And so you learn, how to deal with that and how to really. I think in medical school itself, especially if I'm on like preceptorship or something, a skill that I internalized through Solace that's been super helpful, is really knowing how to not detach yourself from the situation, but to be able to handle it, not get emotional because you're talking to a patient. Because obviously, it's very easy because this is a real person with very dire issues that you may be talking to, but to be able to keep yourself calm and compose and lead them through that conversation. And that's something that I learned through my time with Solace. And that's something that has, in fact, very much helped me out in medical school.
Thank you so much.
Thank you guys for asking questions, and thank you, Thade, Cheyenne, Nick, again for like taking the time to join and like talk to our wonderful applicants. You guys can feel free to stay on, or if you guys have to go, but thank you guys again. We really appreciate it. And anyone who still has more Solus questions, we're gonna have time at the end too that the executive board is gonna answer. But we're gonna go ahead and get moving forward. All right, I know it's been a little bit of time already, but we want to do a quick little icebreaker. We'll do like about maybe like three people can answer. You just unmute your mic. Tell us your name, major, something fun you've done this summer, and one destination on your personal bucket list voyage. Um, for me, something fun I've done this summer. I just got back from Canada. That was awesome. I love Canada. I love Tim Hortons. One destination on my personal bucket list voyage. Canada was on it, but I think Switzerland is still one place I really, really, really want to go. I'm obsessed with like sunsets and like anything with good views, so that's definitely something. You guys can just unmute your mic, talk. We'll do about like three people so we can like get this moving.
Hi, I'm Rachel. I'm an incoming freshman on the biochemistry major. I'm actually in China right now, so that's something really fun. Yesterday, I went up this really big mountain. I didn't hike it though. I went up with like a cable cart. But it was super fun. And then one destination that's still on my personal bucket list is going to Iceland.
Hi, my name is Priscilla. My major is nursing right now. For not really summer, but I moved into UF for summer B, like 2 weeks ago. And then one destination that's still on my bucket list is Lençóis Maranhenses in Brazil.
Hi, I'm Becca. I'm a health science major. I'll be a sophomore this year. And something fun I did this summer, I was in Paris and Monaco for the first 2 weeks after school finished in May. And that was so fun. I love Europe. And then one destination, I would love to go to China because I'm half Chinese. So I would love to go back and visit my grandparents and everything.
Awesome. Thank you guys for unmuting and like talking. Maybe if we have more time at the end, we can go back and do it, but we're gonna go ahead and keep on going.
Okay, guys, so if you have been keeping track of the Instagram at all, which again, I spammed a lot of stuff on there, so I'm not going to hold it against you. It's been kind of hard. But overall, this is just the timeline you guys should be keeping track of for applying. There's a little bit of other information on here about when you can expect to hear back from us if you are planning on applying. So you guys might already know applications close 11:59 Eastern Time on July 10th, so make sure to get those in. You will get interview invites on July 13th. So if you are invited for an interview, you'll hear from us on that day. July 14th through 16th, we'll have interview time. So make sure to keep track of your email on July 13th because interviews start right away. The application process is super fast paced. And if you miss it, unfortunately, it's not gonna work out. So make sure you're checking your emails. And then you're gonna have a final response from us on July 20th. So yeah, if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask.
Okay, so now we're gonna shift gears a little and talk about like some of the things that we do in Solace as our guest speakers were kind of bringing up outside of just volunteering. So I'm in charge of all these membership activities. So we have our GBMs that are bi-weekly on Thursdays at 6:30. Usually we'll have updates for everyone, we'll have guest speakers, and we'll have like games or activities going on, and then maybe something like a point opportunity after or during. Um, and then we do a bunch of activities, and these are just some of them. We do a lot of different things. We love to get your guys' opinions on things that you want to do with everyone too. So we have our new member retreat. So previously we went to the Springs. This past semester in the spring, we went to Lake Wahlberg, which was super fun. We have pickleball tournaments. You might have seen me and someone else on exec has a rivalry going on. We play intramurals, so everyone loves like beach volleyball. We're probably going to do some more of those with other sports too. Um, we have movie and documentary nights. We have a bunch of big little hangouts. We also visit things like the vintage market or like the farmers market on weekends if we have the time. And then we also do a bunch of arts and crafts. And then sometimes these crafts also go to patients, which is also super fun. And we also have a point system. So attending all of these events gets you membership points, which is also part of being an active member.
All right. So, as you can tell on Solace, we're super big on um, just having a really tight-knit community. So we have a lot of those activities outside of volunteering, and that's super important to us. But the core of what we do is volunteering at Shands. So, as volunteers, as you might have picked up by now, we provide emotional support to our patients by engaging in conversation and by providing entertainment, activities, that sort of thing. So primarily we volunteer in both the north and south towers of Shands Hospital. And we also have volunteering at Al's Place, which was mentioned briefly by one of our alumni. So Al's Place is basically sort of like a daycare, memory care facility for patients with things like dementia. So some of our volunteers will go there weekly, and that's super awesome because you sort of get to develop a little bit, of a relationship because you'll see a lot of the same people over the weeks. And then in the hospital, you'll see someone new people every day. So our volunteer commitment, they're 3-hour weekly volunteer shifts, not too long, not too much. But yeah, so that's really what volunteering looks like with us.
Yeah, so I'm going to be talking a little bit about our professional development. So in Solace, we really want to ensure that all of our members are equipped with the tools and skills necessary to succeed after graduating. And so what does that mean? That means that hosting like a whole bunch of opportunities in which we have the opportunities to grow professionally. And so these include healthcare panels. This picture shows Solace's first health panel that we held this past semester. And it was a great way to connect with doctors, really get your like questions answered about like the whole med path. And then like also connect with them for shadowing or whatever opportunities. And then we also do research workshops, and then resume and LinkedIn building. So yeah, not only like are we focused on like the community aspect of it, but we really want to make sure that our members can come out of Solace with like better professional development.
Okay, and then something else that we do that is really meaningful to a lot of our members is collaborating with like philanthropies and other organizations such as the Alzheimer's Association of Central and North Florida. We helped them like with the walk this year. We were all volunteers, as you guys can see in the pictures. We helped make all of the flowers that they use for the event. And then they also just have volunteer opportunities throughout the year that they let us know about, and then we let you guys know. So a lot of it is like advocacy based, so like going to different groups or like companies and talking about, things that people should look out for, handing out like flyers, and things like that. So it's a really great way to expose yourself to a very prominent issue in the geriatric community, and it's a really good time. I know that for me and for a lot of like members too, the Alzheimer's Walk is like a big highlight of the year. So we're really excited to keep working with them. And yeah.
Hey guys, so obviously, like we do our once a week volunteering, but we're also huge on other ways to give back to the geriatric community. And we kind of do this through philanthropy. Um, a lot of our fundraising does go to the local geriatric community. Some of the events that we do are like PIA members, and these like fundraising events will either go to Solace or go to other organizations. But we'll do the PIA members, we'll work with local restaurants, cafes, ice cream places just to like raise money. And this past year, we had our first ever Solace Sunset concert where we had food trucks, we had a bunch of local bands come out and play, tabling with local organizations, games. So it was super duper fun. And I hope to continue that this year. So I'm very excited for that. It's like a university-wide thing. It's super great. But yeah, a lot of fun stuff.
Hey guys, not only do we work with the geriatric population, but it's really important for us to learn about different populations and how we can serve them or just be more aware about what's going on. That's why in Solace, it's really important that we have DEI events. So these are events where members can kind of learn about more about a different population or a different culture. For example, some of the pictures here we have like just raising awareness. For example, the breast cancer awareness chalk, putting that out. Another fun thing we did, which was also just a fun, like getting hanging out together, was salsa night for with Gator Salsa. And we also do like member presentations where we can, like during, for example, Filipino American Month, we were able to talk more about culture. And I personally learned so much about their population and their culture, things that I never knew before. And so not only do these include events, but we also have guest speakers, student-led presentations, and collaborations with other organizations. For example, in the fall, we had a collaboration with AED and we did like a geriatric simulation. And that was an opportunity for us to raise awareness for the geriatric community to another organization. So again, these are just another great way to learn more about different populations beyond just the geriatric one.
Okay, so you guys might have seen this on our social media already, but we're just gonna bring it up here really quick too, in case anyone is interested. So we have this program called Talk to Array where you guys can sign up to get paired with someone in our org already. It doesn't have, it might be one of us, it might be someone else who's a member. And you can just ask us any questions that you have about Solace, about experiences we've had volunteering, things like that. Just as a disclaimer, this isn't for like application advice or anything. We're not allowed to help you guys with that, unfortunately. But if you have any questions or like just want to know more specifics, this is a really, really great way to just like make a friend and also get your questions answered on a more personal level. So if you're interested, you can scan that QR code to sign up on the left. And then if you guys need the link to our application or anything, feel free to check the link tree. And that also has our Instagram.
I have one more question. Oh, sorry. I saw that it was on the other slide.
No, you're
Oh,
good. You're
Um,
good. You can go ahead. Yeah, we're just gonna start
sorry.
with questions now, asking the exec board, and those are just some questions like you can specifically ask us. And if you want to leave, that's totally okay too. The link will be posted in the website. But thank you guys for all of you guys who do leave. Thank you so, so much for joining. We're super excited for this upcoming application cycle and looking forward to meeting all of you guys, whether that's through an application, interview, or even welcoming you in the fall. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them now or email the membership email that's on the application. But yeah, I think you guys can go ahead and start asking questions. Whoever had that first one can go ahead.
Sorry. So I just wanted to know, is Solus limited to pre-med majors specifically, or is that just like the general demographic that ends up applying?
Okay, so I can go ahead and get started. But before that, if you guys haven't left yet, can you quickly stay for like a quick photo? After this question, we'll go ahead and get that photo in, okay? But to answer your question, Solus is open to any major. Like um, you do not have to be a pre-health major. You don't even have to be like interested in applying to med school, PA school, like anything. Like I'm an econ major, so like you do not have to be like pre-med major. All right, we're gonna take a quick photo. Dishna, oh, you already have the slide in. If everyone just wants to put like a quick thumbs up. Is the shared content on? Like, can you see everyone's, Omar? Or do you have to unshare the screen? Or I don't know how it works, but and then put the
I would just put it on the grid view. Yeah,
yeah, put
that
on
should
the
work.
grid view. And then everyone just put a quick thumbs up. Omar, you taking the photo?
Almost. Sorry. All right. All right, I got y'all. Thank you
Awesome.
for
Thank you
doing that
guys,
for
whoever
us. We
stayed.
appreciate it.
All right, and now we can go. Did that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Awesome. Yeah. Anything else? You guys can just unmute, and if two people talk at the same time, we'll figure that out. It happens. I know there's a couple questions earlier that people didn't get to ask, so if you want to ask that now. Guys, don't be shy. You can unmute the mic. It's okay.
Hi, thank you guys for the presentation. I just had a quick question regarding what it looks like when you guys arrive at the hospital and getting to the patient or getting to the room.
I'd be happy to answer that real quick. So typically we'll go downstairs to the volunteer service office. We'll sign in. You can leave all your stuff there. Some of us will grab, cards or something like that, or coloring books, crossword, whatever you like to bring to the patients if you do that. And then you'll head to your assigned unit, and you could be anywhere in the hospital. Really, you could be North Tower, South Tower, and typically from there, it looks like going up to the nurses station and asking, "Hey, do you know of anyone that, wants someone to talk to, in the geriatric population?" And yeah, that'll kind of give you a quick start on, who to maybe talk to, and you'll kind of just go around and talk to people. Most most people will say no, and this is like rejection therapy sometimes. But then you'll find someone that says yes, and when they do, that's really meaningful. Like, just getting to have a conversation with someone who really needs company. It can get monotonous in that hospital. So that's pretty much what it looks like.
Thank you.
Generally, how long do you? Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Oh, okay, thank you. I was just curious, generally, how long would you spend with like a single patient? Like, is it around like 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, or is it varying based on the patients?
It definitely depends. You could spend like almost all your time with one patient if if that was what was right that day. And sometimes you'll spend, 30 minutes with a bunch of patients. A lot of times I'll spend, hours with a patient or an hour and a half. And so it can be whatever you want it to be, or really whatever the patient wants it to be, whatever they need at that time. So yeah.
I can add to that really quickly. Yeah, I've like been with patients like I think like my first semester with volunteering with Solace, like actually what was crazy, it's like kind of sad, but also like something interesting at the same time is like 3 shifts in a row I like talked to the same patient. Like he happened to like be there for an extended period of time. And it like shows you like another side of healthcare. Like sometimes hospital visits can just be in and out, but sometimes people really have chronic conditions. They have to keep coming back, they have to stay. So like he got to kind of see the same face 3 weeks in a row. And something we do in Solace is like, hey, if I have a volunteer shift on Monday, like, and there's a patient who really needs like help, we do like have a system where we can kind of like let the nurses know to like tell the next volunteer who's coming, like, hey, go in this room, he really wants company. So it's really like it really is like a full circle moment sometimes, but then at the same time, I've had patients like 5 or 6 in one shift and you just watch TV with them. Sometimes you don't even talk. They just want someone in the room with them. So it really varies.
Thank you.
Hi, would it be possible to volunteer during weekends rather than weekdays?
No, I can just answer it. No, the volunteer services office doesn't allow that, unfortunately.
Okay, thank you.
But there is a lot of like variability, like in terms of like if you're stressing about like not being able to make it one of the weekdays, the shifts are Monday through Friday, either 9 to 12 or 3 to 6. So we tell all the applicants, like I think it's an application to like at least have like maybe 3 to 4 options is like a safe bet because it's Monday through Friday, 9 to 12, 3 to 6 at like 4 different units, 4 or 5 different units. So like if you can't volunteer at the cancer hospital, the heart and vascular one might be open. So don't worry about like not being available, but try to like have that availability. Like it's highly recommended because if you can't volunteer, you won't be able to be in Solace. So have that availability for a couple days,
Thank you.
of course.
Okay, well, if no one has any more questions, thank you guys so much for attending. We're looking forward to getting to know all of you. We'll stay on for a little longer just in case anyone has anything. But that was the end of our presentation. So thank you so much. And if you have any questions, feel free to email ufsolace.membership@gmail.com. That's my email.
and I'll be happy to answer any of your questions.
Thank you so much, guys.
Thank
Thank you
you. Good
guys.
Feel
night.
feel free
Thank
to
you.
stay on
Thank
if you have
you.
anything else.